Thank you so much. The Institute of Internal Auditors Nigeria 2018 National Conference is Advancing Internal Audit in a Disruptive Landscape. This 2018 edition of the Internal Auditors Conference, 27 and 28 at the Oriental Hotel here in Lagos. The Institute of Internal Auditors, an international professional association with headquarters in Lake Mary, Florida, US, is the Internal Auditors Global Voice, recognized authority, acknowledged leader, chief advocate, and principal educator worldwide, 90 countries, serving members from all over the world in internal auditing, risk management. We are serving members in Nigeria directly. Since the beginning of mankind, there has not been a time in history that the concept of organizational, business, or even individual disruption has manifested as in a per second basis than in this age and time. It is no more a question of whether there will be a disruption. Rather, it is either you are disrupting others or you are already being disrupted. The modern internal auditor has been so placed in a position of playing pivotal role in assessing his or her organization to continuously navigate through the wind of disruption. Albeit not without a never-ending comprehensive transformation, education, sharing, and relearning. Providentially, all of these aptly ties into the IIA global motto of progress through sharing. As part of IIA Nigeria's initiative for promoting the internal audit profession on the wave of digital innovations and implications on internal audit continual existence, internal audit agility, the role of internal audit in a changing world, leaders of top regulatory agencies in Nigeria, including the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, shall also be available to discuss internal audit engagement and professionalism in Nigeria, among other things. This year's conference is carefully packaged to exceed the expectations of participants across industries in the private and public sectors. And we believe that participation and input from member organizations and varied key stakeholders in the internal audit profession across all sectors in Nigeria will greatly enrich the robustness and coverage of the deliberations. Are you in internal audit, IT audit, governance, risk assurance, or related field? This conference is for you. Perhaps you're a business executive and you desire to learn more on how internal audit could support your business. IIA Nigeria welcomes you as well. Conference information are available on IIA Nigeria website www.iianigeria.org. You can also access it at our Twitter handle at IIA Nigeria or our LinkedIn page www.linkedin.com/in/IIA-Nigeria. You may also reach the IIA Secretariat on info@iianigeria.org or call any of our numbers for further details on how you could be a part of the conference.
Thank you very much. But I think the CEO would also like to talk a little bit more about IIA Nigeria. This is purely more about the conference as well. But at least let's get to know when IIA Nigeria started, when I say formally started, and what we've been doing. CEO, you'd like to just give us a brief about
Right. What I read earlier, you mentioned that is a worldwide institute which provides education on how internal audit could be practiced in a manner to add value to organizations. And the IIA usually have institutes in different countries. And it's not necessary that they must have in every country, because you must meet the requirements for them to have an IIA institute in your country. Fortunately for us in Nigeria, we have an IIA institute, because IIA is one body globally, so they strive to ensure that they maintain their brand and they maintain that professionalism and ensure that all their ethical standards are upheld. So in Nigeria, we have an IIA institute, which is at the forefront of promoting professionalism in internal auditing. Many of us, if asked, we say internal auditors, call internal auditors different names. Some refer to them as policemen, some say they are people who look for things that are bad. However, IIA has shown that internal auditing is a transformed profession. It's not what people think. The main duty of internal auditing is to help business achieve their objectives. And that is why in internal auditing we talk about risk-based, because risks are things that affect and impact on achieving objectives. So internal auditors provide assurance to ensure that those things that could stop organizations from achieving their objectives are properly responded to. So in Nigeria, the Institute has been doing a lot in the area of creating that awareness for those in internal audit practice to get to know that they can have an association they belong to and be able to access resources that will help them in their daily jobs, and also learn more on what it takes to be a professional internal auditor that will add value to the organizations. So we have resources, we have training programs, like this conference is one of them, which is meant to be on annual basis. We also have various fora for knowledge sharing. We have our quarterly knowledge sharing programs. We also have breakfast events and other activities, all to create avenues for people to learn more on how internal auditing can add value in their organizations. So we are encouraging everyone, even those who are not directly in internal audit, to get to know more about internal auditing. Peradventure, they might just know that that's where they want to practice. Internal audit is not meant for any particular discipline. Rather, it covers every discipline, because every organization, every aspect of the organization must be covered by internal auditing. And what internal auditing does is to provide assurance over governance, over risk management, and over internal control.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. So, like you heard him say, actually it's a body that ensures the professional standard in internal auditing is maintained, so that it's not just maintained, but it grows with what is happening environmentally. Like we're talking about digital disruption now, and we're like trying to say from the conference, how
outside the country. For example, we're expecting in IIA we have regional group also. The group we call, like in Africa, we have what we call the African Federation of the Institutes of Internal Auditors, which is a regional group for all the IIA institutes in Africa. So we're expecting the president of that group to be in Nigeria for this conference. His name is Eric Yanka. Incidentally, he is an ex-president of IIA Ghana, so he'll be joining us in that conference. We are also expecting one of our colleagues from South Africa, Shelley Macheda. Shelley is incidentally a member of the IIA Global Board and is also an ex-president of the IIA South Africa. She's going to be part of the conference. And then in Nigeria, we have a number of notable dignitaries that will be part of the conference. We're expecting the chairman of the board of GT Bank to be there. We're expecting the Director General of the Financial Reporting Council. We're expecting a couple of other people in different fields. We make sure that we have coverage across all sectors as well as government for the conference.
My name is Helen Oji, the Guardian. So I guess this is not your maiden edition. You've been having this conference. Right. So I just want you to share with us how the ones that you had previously has impacted operations of these professionals, these auditors across sectors to be able to boost the economy, to make them become better.
Thank you so much. Anybody want to comment on that?
I would touch on a few of the conferences that we've had. There's one that readily comes to mind, putting the piece together, governance, risk management, and compliance. I mean, like the CEO said, we had quite fair representation across, the sectors. And one thing that came out from the conference is that our job as auditors does not end just at looking at the financials, not just at looking at the books. We look at the governance, the soft side, the people side, things that can be readily, ignored because they don't tend readily to audit, and that's where the governance piece comes in. Then we looked at risk management. In the opening remark of the CEO, he talked about what we do and how what we do contribute to helping organizations achieve their objectives. Risks are the things that prevent an organization from achieving their objectives. So at that conference, there were knowledge sharing sessions that say, guys, these are the ways you can audit risk management. These are the ways you can audit control processes. And personally for me, I had quite good takeaways. And of course, I also got...
What are the topics that we discussed?
Right, thank you. Of learning methods in the course of the conference. We're also going to be having resources we are going to be providing for participants. So the idea is that with whatever is a participant preferred method of learning, we should be able to have something for that person. And like the team says, advancing internal audit in the disruptive landscape. The landscape, not just in Nigeria but globally, is that disruption is the order of the day. And we want to share with internal auditors the fact that they have a very key role in helping the organizations to keep existing. Many times we see companies that have fizzled out. You suddenly discover you cannot see them again, even in Nigeria. When you dream that, discover that such companies probably have a strong internal audit function, or may not have had internal audit at all. So, and we are trying to also let stakeholders know that internal audit's role is crucial to organizational survival. Internal audit will proactively see risk coming and prepare the organization on how they should respond to it. They will, because they have a view of every aspect of the business, they will be able to detect where there are weaknesses, whether it's in governance, that could lead to eventual collapse of the organization and bring it up. Not just bring it up, organizational sustainability.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe in addition to that, we have topics that will address the various digital disruption happening in the business climate. We're bringing in the seasoned fintechs and will come and discuss how they're impacting the business world. And businesses ultimately turn into making profits. And in between, there are financial records and activities happening. And during those processes, internal audit will have to provide certain level of assurance that whatever ways the management of those organizations are carrying out the businesses are done in a manner that will protect the business itself and ultimately serve the public. We talked about increasing GDP and the economy, get that as well done. Profitability for the business and all that. Internal audit processes are happening all within those and should happen. So it's not like years back where things happen with respect to cash and all that, but things are happening digitally in different forms. Be it the banking industry, being in the manufacturing industry, being in the commerce space, and we see people sit at home these days and they get what they wanted to buy, is delivered, they're paid for, and all that. There are various risk elements in between those processes. The internal auditors should be there to provide those level of risk assurance. So people will come and discuss about all that and see where the internal audit profession is placed in those digital, disruptive landscape that we are experiencing.
Okay, most of what you said, from my understanding, is usually allocated to risk managers. So is this conference just going to be for just auditors, or are you going to have risk managers present at the conference, basically? Because if you're saying you're foreseeing risk and everything, that's usually what risk managers will tell you, and I know there's usually a tussle between what auditor is supposed to do and risk manager.
So is it? I can just try a little bit to answer that question. I think the important thing to realize is that, when you're talking about governance, it's a whole spectrum of activities that you categorize as governance. And internal audit is very central to that. So whether you're talking about risk, internal audit does risk. So the CEO talked about risk-based audit, right? So these professions, there is no clear line of distinction between these two. The important thing is to collaborate and make sure that you sustain the organization and let the organization meet the objectives. So whether you are a risk professional, whether you are an internal auditor, whether you are an internal control officer, whether you are an investigation officer, people use different terminologies depending on your company, but depending on what your board has determined for itself. That conference is for all these related professionals. And just like the chairman has mentioned, it is important that we realize that the knowledge we acquired 4 years ago, in fact, we enter the university now. The knowledge you acquire in year 1, by the time you're graduating in year 4, is almost obsolete. Because the rate of change is so fast that you need to keep pace. The essence of this conference is to also expose the participants to how they can acquire this knowledge. Okay, we are living in a country or an environment that is quite challenging. We want to bring people to the level where they can begin to see what is happening elsewhere in the world. They talked about automation. Transactions are happening electronically. You carry your piece of paper 6 months after the transaction to go and audit to check. You don't find any money is gone, right? We want things to happen. We want auditors to be ahead of the game. New technologies are coming, automation, artificial intelligence, e-commerce, with all the risks that are involved. We want to expose our colleagues in this environment, be they in government or be they in the private sector, to modern ways that they can arm themselves with to make sure they add value. The important thing is you must add value to remain relevant in the organization, otherwise you don't have a document. So that's basically the essence of this conference.
Yeah, and if I could just also add to that as well, when you talk about risk managers as well as internal audit. Because if you go to the risk space, in terms of talking about risk, I talk about who are the risk owners. The internal audit has gone to the extent whereby it is not that they want to come and see something wrong with you, but they tend to promote self-auditing, so that you as the risk owner could also appreciate and know the risk that's embedded in whatever you do. So that when the internal audit comes, I want to come and find them or provide that assurance that what you're doing properly. They should come and see that everything is going on well. But if you are not aware of this your risk, how will you be able to manage them? Because you should actually be the owner of that risk, you should know about it more. So you find out that when we have a conference like this, it's not just tailored to internal audit, but it also widens out. It's made in such a way that risk owners who are also
on internal audit practice in Nigeria. And even beyond that, the World Bank, in conjunction with the IIA Global, have also done a study and survey in internal audit practice in a number of African countries, including Nigeria. What I would say about the internal audit practice in Nigeria is that we are at an evolution stage. We are at the point of evolving from the traditional internal audit to the modern approach to internal auditing. And incidentally, a key driver of this evolution is the use of internal auditors. That's where you have the international standards for the professional practice of internal audit. There are a lot of, we've come across internal auditors who find themselves at different times in one fix or the other regarding how to respond to situations. And we discovered that just by looking into the standards, you find answers that address the challenges. So, and the good news is that in Nigeria, when things enter evolution, Nigerians are so resilient that they move fast. Some of us can attest to the fact that it wasn't so many years ago we started having ATM in Nigeria. I remember not too long ago I was looking for a way to take money. But today you have ATM every day, everywhere. Also remember the issue of you must withdraw from the branch, you paid money. Not so long ago, but now, obviously. So we believe that in Nigeria the next big thing that will happen is internal auditing. That's the next big thing. Because we are looking that in the very short while, even some of you journalists, we want to join and be internal auditors to help your objectives, to help you achieve your objectives.
Global Institute of Internal Auditors has some resources, a number of them, and they are amazingly many. The challenge is when we look locally, a lot of internal auditors are not aware that there are answers to virtually all the questions and concerns they have. So one of the things that the Institute of Internal Auditors in Nigeria does is to expose the auditors to, there are resources that would answer these questions. There are resources on how you can audit that process, how you can audit this process. There are resources on what you should do when you are having a dilemma as an auditor. So there are so many answers, but there seems to be a gap in the awareness that these answers exist on the part of the local internal auditors, and that's a task that the local institute has to, find a solution to, and by exposing all our local auditors to these resources.
And just to add to that, also, the IIA Nigeria also run training programs throughout the year. We have a schedule of trainings, and most of those trainings are not just local trainings. They are trainings tailored and designed in line with the global practices. And one of the things we are happy to say is that when internal auditors who were part of the institute leave Nigeria, they find it very easy to integrate. And it is only when you are part of IIA that you can go to any country and say you are an internal auditor. If you are not in IIA, there is no proof wherever you go in the world to say you are part of, you are an internal auditor. Even if you are in Nigeria for 30 years and you are not part of IIA, they will not accept you easily that way.
Just to add to what has been said, let me make these points. One is that IIA, and it's a challenge for the journalists to find out. You'll find that it's only with internal auditors that you have one body globally. In every country, you only have affiliates. So there is only one global body for internal auditors, that is in the US. In different countries, you have affiliates to that body. So you cannot have an institute of internal auditor in a country unless you are an affiliate of the US body. So when you're a member of IIA Nigeria, you are actually a member of IIA Global. So you interact with the international community. And that means that your knowledge, your perspective is global, but you're operating in local environment. And a conference like this is an opportunity for members of the institute to come and interact, and share experiences. Because truly, what happens in organizations is dependent on where that company has its allegiance. So if a company, for instance, is a subsidiary of, say, a German company, there will be some bit of German culture in that organization. And if it has some allegiance to, say, South Africa, there will be some kind of South African culture in that organization. So when you now come, attend a conference like this, and you meet your colleagues, and you share ideas and experiences, you now begin to see certain things that they are doing differently, which probably can even assist you in your own organization, and you take that on board. So it's also good for networking, so that you have people you can call on to when you have challenges in your organization. Because at times, in my place they say the snake that is seen by one person is a python, because they say a snake is a snake. But if the problem is shared, if you have somebody, oh boy, I have this issue in my organization, how do you think I should go about it? Or have you had that kind of challenge, and how was it resolved? You find that through such networks, you lighten your burden, because you have somebody you can always call on to share experiences. And then, of course, you grow your visibility, because that is also very important. I mean, you mentioned the issue of disruption. To be honest, every knowledge you have now is obsolete, because with technology, the whole world is being reinvented, and that is the way we do things, both the way we write, the way we talk, even the things we use as medium of exchange. I'm sure you must have heard, because you seem to be ITs, you've heard of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I was just tracking, because I'm involved in that space. With cryptocurrency, given the fact that everything now you can do everything now with this. This is your life. And you also know that they're even trying to make it so that they implant it on you. So you go into a place, let's say you can imagine going to your bank, and as you walk into your bank, something welcomes you. I'm calling you by name because you are in a wide network. These are the things that you should be exposed to. And then for internal audit, yes, it's convenient, but it's also risk. If this is your life, your money and everything you don't need any paper, everything is online. It means that somebody can hack into your stuff and your account becomes zero. These are contemporary challenges, and it is at conferences like this, because if you see the program, you see that the sessions are clearly cut out. There is a session for governance, there is one on internal controls, and then there is one dealing with IT issues, so that all the issues that organizations will face are thoroughly discussed. It's a 2-day conference, full 2-day conference, so a lot of ideas will be generated at the conference, I can assure you. And it is not only for internal auditors, so everybody who is concerned about business, who wants to run a business sustainably. Business is about sustainability. CEO mentioned it's not enough to have a business today that is making profit. What happens 10 years down the line? When we were growing up at little kids in Lagos, there were some top businesses we knew, big names. Today, where are they? They are no longer there. And the real problem is about governance, is about not taking care of all the risks that are faced by the business. And that's why they are gone. Abroad, it's not like that. If I mention fraud, the thing that comes to your mind is a powerful machine, isn't it? Or I mention Heineken, you think about beer. I mention Cadbury, think about chocolate. These things are brands. They are names of individuals. They were people's names first before they were brands. But because the businesses have been well run, they have outlived the original founder. Why can't we have such businesses in Nigeria? One way to ensure that we have such businesses in Nigeria is to begin to manage the risks businesses encounter in this environment. And a conference like this will enable us to communicate these issues to a lot of people.